This conference will now be recorded.
Isn't this thing recording?
That is tied to that recording. So she had to hit the record button.
Okay.
Go the other direction, the opposite direction you would think of to go to that other screen.
Hang on, guys, I'm trying to get it so it gets recorded.
The what?
These guys don't know what's going on.
So note to self, learn how to use the computer equipment.
Yeah, Kelly's on vacation. Lynn flew all
Everybody
weekend.
should be able to do that.
Where are you, Ken, by the way?
I'm in Cape, well, right now I'm in Greenwich. I'm leaving for the Cape today.
Greenwich,
We were in
Connecticut?
Greenwich.
Nice.
Where you going to the Cape?
Old Silver,
I don't know where that is.
North Falmouth.
Northville. Yeah, I used to go to Wellfleet, Sandwich. Where's this place next to Wellfleet?
You ready to call the roll? Let's go ahead and call the roll, please.
Commissioner Westland,
Here.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Here.
Commissioner Khalil,
Here.
Vice Mayor Charles,
Here.
and Mayor Hughes.
Here. All right, let's stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. All right, any additions, deletions, modifications, and approval agenda?
No additions or deletions.
Good, hearing none.
Motion to accept the agenda?
Second.
Motion is second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Hi.
Motion carries. All right, public comment. Victor, you got anything to say?
I'm good.
Okay. Closing public comment. Back to the regular agenda items. Established a not to exceed millage rate by town manager Ladner. Lynn?
When we had our first budget workshop in July, we did not establish what our not to exceed mill levy was for the rest of budgeting process. That mill levy has to be certified to the county by July 28th, which is why we are meeting today. And only to do that, I have provided in the packet the spreadsheet that shows the mill levy rate variations, as well as the DR 420MM and the DR 420, which is the trim certification information from the county. This is where we are, as of July 1, or in this case, they certified it on June 27th, the total revenues or taxing values for the year, and set what the rollback rate would be, what's the additional rates. As you can see, our prior year's levy was 5.5 million. Our current year rollback for FY24 would be 4.8948, which is the top amount listed on your spreadsheet of the variations. If you go to the back of that, it also lists any other options and what requires different levels of vote. A majority of council, which would be 3 out of 5, would need to vote when it comes time for certifying this. If the mill rate is going to be 5.0338, or between that and the 4.8948. A 2/3 majority, which with a 5-member council would require a 4-member vote, would be a maximum of 5.5372. So anything between 5.0338 and 5.5372 would require a vote of 4 members in the affirmative when we hold our public hearing in September. Anything higher than that 5.5372 would require a unanimous vote of the council.
Okay. Thank you. Well, this is just establishing the highest we can go, correct?
Correct.
Right,
It
so,
doesn't mean that when we finish the August work
Right.
session, it can't be lower
So-
than we set it at today.
right, so, I mean, well, I guess our customary is we usually go the highest we can go. so we don't have to back up.
I've never heard this majority thing, like.
Yeah, the supermajority thing either.
No, never heard this. If we're at 5-5, we want to give ourselves 5-6 for a cushion as a max. We've just done it. I've never heard this being the majority.
It's all based on what your rollback rates are and how much your property appraisal has increased year over year. So those amounts change every year.
You just told us the highest goes 5.5372.
Without having a unanimous vote at the public hearing in September authorizing a higher vote than that.
Can I ask a question? Have you guys in the past ever seen this form? Because Lynn and I had been talking about it, and I don't ever remember Tracy backing out new construction from our total taxable value. And to get a apples to apples, comparison, last year's taxable value to this year's taxable value, you have to take off, and what this form says was roughly $10 million in new CVOs that were issued. So then you're saying, okay, the same taxable properties we were looking at last year, we're comparing them to this year. You take out all the new stuff that happened this year, and then it's actually works in our favor.
Right, so give me the number associated, the mill rate associated with backing out the construction. Because I don't have that piece.
Well, on this chart, if we were using 5.5, that's at 97.5% collections, 8,168,260.
No, I mean, of the numbers that Lynn listed, the mill rates, is the 4.948
4.8948 is comparing last year to this year,
with the.
with taking out that 10 million.
No, the 4.8948 is the rollback rate. That,
Rollback rate, what Carol's talking about, it doesn't include new construction.
Does not
no, it doesn't include new construction, but that's not what the rollback rate is. The rollback rate is a rate set as a maximum taxable rate that if you had 7 people up here, 4 people could easily just approve without a 2/3 majority or a unanimous vote.
The rollback rate is the definition, the millage rate that's necessary to raise the same dollar amount as in the preceding
And
year.
then what is the 0.0038 number? Is that including new construction?
No, it doesn't include new construction. In the past, the town, for at least the past 2 years, has held their mill levy rate steady at 5.5 mils.
Yeah.
5.038 is the maximum that requires just a majority vote. We had 9 people
Well,
on
when you
here.
say majority vote, you mean the final meeting, not this meeting.
Correct.
That's what's confusing us.
Correct, they had a
So
final.
right now, we can go to 10 if we want. And then we need a majority rule, go over 10 at the final meeting.
Yes.
Right, so let's just stay on what we're doing at this meeting, okay? So we, 5.5, everyone agrees 2 as something in that ballpark. I would say just go to 5.6 and call it a 10.
No, I disagree. Why would we need more? We already have
It's
revenue.
not, but it's not, what it is that, just say that between now and when we finalize the budget, something catastrophic happens. Okay, we would not be able to increase the millage rate over what we say today.
We just give
That's
us-
why we did. You said the maximum you presume may have something may happen. And that's why you do it. So that's what happens is that's the top you could possibly go. Now, that's not saying that's where you would be, but that's saying that, hey, let's hedge our bet and make sure that we are able to go to somewhere if something happens, we need to go there. That's why we've always done something in that kind of range. Always done like 5, always going up to 5, 6, something
At
like
this stage.
that. At this stage.
Okay,
And
because
then
I'm just, I would like to talk about lowering the millage
Sure,
rate.
that's a different meeting.
Okay.
That's different. This meeting is just saying, okay, this is our ceiling. Anything that we can do, we cannot go over that, but we can go under that.
Okay.
But you don't want to make your ceiling low where in case in the next 2 or 3 months something happens, we need to have that village money.
Yeah, what happens if lightning hits this building and we have to go rent for $200,000 another building?
Or anything.
Okay.
So that's what this meeting's about. So what was your motion?
5.6.
Is that a motion?
No, just a discussion point.
So you-
I think that that's fine, but I also think that we could just keep the same millage that we had from the prior 5.5.
I don't disagree with you, Ken. I'm just saying, let's throw in a cushion in case something happens
We
between
already
now.
have a cushion.
But that is the question.
Yeah. Because really, we're still revenue over expenses if we lower to 5.25 at this point.
I understand that. So
So-
all cost of inflation and the 9% staff raises, that's all.
Well,
happening.
we have revenue over expenses right
So
now
wait a
at
minute.
511,000.
We're arguing about, what we should be arguing about in 2 months. That's my point. We don't need to worry about it.
But I don't know, why are we going higher than 5.5, which is already a big cushion?
Right, but see,
Is that what you're saying, Ben?
Yeah, but Lynn,
Yes,
you know what? You gotta pipe up and tell us what the recommended at 5.5 on the current budget. How much excess revenue do we have at 5.5 if that's passed?
At 5.5, with the first swap that we took in July, it was just over $500,000. However, we also talked at that same meeting about major infrastructure projects, which I'm still getting cost estimates on for what those could potentially cost, which would significantly reduce any of that revenue going in.
No, I got that. That's why we have reserves. So let me back up the question again. At 5.5, are you saying if we pass 5.5, we would have excess revenue of $500,000?
Yes.
Yes, and that was without any discussion on staff raises.
But is it also without a discussion of the wish list? Have we already added in the wish list?
No, the wish list has not been added in.
So you see what I'm saying, Ken? We don't really have
No,
500.
I got you. I'm going a little bit deeper here because this is actually concerning me. So in the method is that this is being reported to us. So Lynn, so your suggestion to us is to raise it even more than 5.5, and we don't know what that number is.
No, my recommendation would be to keep it at 5.5, no more than 5.55. I think that will give us an adequate cushion over the next 2 weeks before the August work session on the 7th to put everything together. And then if there are projects or different things the commission wants to take out at that time, reducing the overall expenditures of the community, then the final decision of what that ends up being as a mill rate will be set for the first public hearing on the 5th of September.
Okay,
Okay.
so
But
Ken,
we typically don't go, we typically historically haven't, I agree with Jeff and everyone to do the maximum, but we typically haven't gone higher than the 5.5 millage rate.
but Ken, remember,
Prior.
we just spent 1.5 million out of reserve.
So what is the fund balance?
Fund balance has not been determined by the auditor yet.
Right, but we know we were at 63%, and then we knocked ourselves back, 63% of the year we could run on reserve. And then we knocked that back to, I believe it was 54% after we spent 1.5 million out of reserve. But again, I think we're arguing about stuff we don't need to argue about now.
No, it's just that if her diagram, Steve,
Yeah.
didn't go as high as 5.6. So I wanted to hear from Lynn as the manager,
I
what
get it.
the recommendation was, and so it's even higher. And I'll go along with 5.6. I'm never going to agree to it, but I'll go along with it.
yeah, it's just a perception.
I disagree. I think we got to stay at the 5.5 because if you've looked at any of the newspaper articles, everybody's lowering taxes. And what our article's going to be is Ocean Ridge is the only one, after getting a 12% increase in their real estate taxes, is asking for more money.
Right.
But we're not.
We're not asking for one. We're just saying,
But it's the perception. Bill's saying it's the perception. And
So what,
it's the county, it's Delray Beach, all have announced that they're considering lowering the millage
so
rate.
so it's for the trim notice that comes out. The trim notice comes out at the beginning of September, end of August. So what they have to do is they have to put this on the trim notice. If it was passed, you've seen the trim notices, right?
Yep.
So they give the variance, right? If no budget increase is passed, this is the tax. If it doesn't, if it's 5.6, whatever it is. I don't see us going beyond the 5.5 even by any stretch of the imagination. But at the same time, I'm not concerned about what the other people think as far as raising taxes, all that stuff. I mean, we're going to do the right thing at the end of the day, and that's what counts.
It's also
So,
important to realize that the county and Delray are seeing significant increases and are able to roll back their rates because they have commercial and industrial properties that they base on. It's not all going on residential property owners. So they have properties that are increasing at a far greater amount than just the residential properties. We are entirely dependent upon residential property taxes.
But the reason that we're considering reducing the millage rate is because of the exponential increase in insurance costs to the taxpayers.
Right, the whole, yeah, we are getting a little bit into the weeds with this because when we discuss the millage rate, we're all thinking about maybe reducing the millage rate, but right now we're talking about setting the maximum level. So it's almost an exercise right now in something that is not really a discussion in the sense of where we're going to be later. It's just where we want to set it to where, yes, in the perception wise, somebody's like, oh, like, oh, sure, it's going to be raising their taxes. No, we're not. We're thinking about lowering our taxes, but we're also making sure that we, cover our bases if whatever, something happens. So to me, at 5.6, it's just a number. That's all it is.
How does covering your bases go away though by September?
Because we have additional meetings that we discuss how we're going to lower it. Right now, it's just the maximum that we, as a group, have said that we will not go over. What happens is then you start taking out, and we find from Lynn exactly how much money we have left after everything goes through, and we've got everything's paid for, we've received 97 or whatever percentage that we have of our taxes, what are we going to have left? And then you start saying, okay, well, that money we have left, how much of that are we going to use to pay off the wish list? And then you see really where you're at. Because if you look at the chart here, the difference between 5.5372 and 5.5 is 100 grand, not even that. So we're not talking about tons of money. I mean, your difference. I mean, your difference is. Yeah, your difference is 125,666 or 126,516.
So why wouldn't we just stay with 5.5?
Because if something happened, okay, I don't know. I can't see it. If I could see the future, I have won the lottery and I would be somewhere other than Ocean Ridge. Okay, I'd be doing whatever.
You lose all your tax money.
That's right. Well, no, I'd be somewhere, some far out. Who knows? But anyway.
It's a free option.
It's a free, that's all it is, a free option. That's perfect. Perfect analysis. It's a free option. It's just giving us a little bit of wiggle room if we ever have to have it. That's all it is. So I'm just saying, why not use it? And then if we don't need it, then we go lower, which I think that'd be a nice thing to look at as well, to go lower on the taxes. I'm not for that.
Yeah, I think
But to hamstring yourself, say, okay, at 5 point, you're going to stay at 5.5 because of the perception of what it could see to the public. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to make sure what we're doing is going to benefit the town of Ocean Ridge and cover.
Okay. As a means of a compromise, why don't we just go, because I'm okay with 5.6 if you want, but as a means of a compromise, why don't we go with that, since it was only analyzed at the maximum rate of 5.5372, why don't we go with that? If we're all in agreement that it's not going to be above the 5.5 anyway, So if you want to have that cushion, there's the 5.372, which was in the analysis that the town manager gave to us. Why don't we just run with that?
Right, so now
Right,
you
I
gotta
know
take,
all
you
that.
gotta take 9% of staff salaries, subtract that from the extra $500,000. And then we have a water break, you gotta take that and subtract it. You see what I'm saying, Ken? It's not really $500,000. It's $500,000 before we have got to town staff, does that include the police? Town staff and police, 9% raises, or proposed 9% raises, which is gonna be quite a chunk of money.
Those are in the budget.
No, 9%.
Oh, the cost, we haven't even talked about
Right, but Lynn has not factored minus 9% against the 500,000.
So what's the revenue difference, Lynn? I'm okay with 5.6 if you guys want to do it in this, but what's the difference between the 5.372 and the 5.6? What's the revenue difference?
$850.
How much?
$850.
Can't be 850.
I just added it up. If we looked at the difference from 97 to 98%, I just subtracted it on the very far
Well,
end.
it'd be 50,000, because every.
But no, I'm just
every
saying-
point's worth 100,000.
No, this number here.
Phil,
Now, if you take the $8 million number,
yeah,
8,168,262 minus 8,223,509 is $55,247.
right, because I believe, and I was hoping to go back to for every 0.1, 5 point.
No, just give me the, just give me a number.
Just moving forward, it's 100,000 for 0.1, so therefore we're doing 0.5, so therefore it's 50,000. See what I'm saying? Yeah.
So at 97.5% revenue, the difference between 5.5 and 5.5372 is $55,247, which is one car.
So why don't we just stick with the analysis, because it doesn't really matter. That difference of $50,000
It's not,
is not going to make a difference for anything.
right, even at 5.6, it's going to be
Even
probably,
at 5.6.
what more? How much more than that? Maybe 70 grand? We're
Yeah,
talking,
no, you're right. I don't disagree, but if you're concerned about perception, keep it within at least what the appraisal sheet certificate says, and not go over that at a minimum.
yeah, because at the end of the day, you're not talking big numbers between 5.5 and 5.6. You're really not.
I'm not
You know, so I
disagreeing.
mean, I'm okay with that. I'm just saying, look, we're kind of quibbling 55 grand. Let's face it, an $8 million budget.
It's 96.
Huh? So what do you want to do? I make a motion.
I make a motion that the maximum millage rate of 5.5372.
Second that.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Thank
Can I
you.
ask a question while you're on the phone, Jeff?
Sure.
Lynn, how much money do we have in reserves?
I just asked that.
I am still waiting on the auditor to finish FY22, but I believe it is, we have restricted reserves of close to 750,000 in infrastructure reserves. I would have to look again at what our capital reserves are, but general fund reserves, I believe, are around 4 million.
Yes.
That's right.
All right, so we got some money there.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
but remember, Ken, we used to get 5.3 million.
Listen, I'm not denying it, Steve.
Okay. Okay.
All righty.
We're working on grants.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
See you. Have a nice time up there.
Thanks. See you later.
See you
Thank you,
later.
everyone.
Meeting adjourned.
Bye.
Alrighty. So lit. I don't have the sheet that everyone dispatched to me because it was on my magic phone. But at the next meeting, we'll have a list of exactly what people are asking. What's the current reserve, what percentage, how many days we can go on that reserve, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
And then 9% times
You'll have all of the options for the employee compensation.
Right.
Is
So we
that,
should-
that was new last year, if I recall, correct? The
The
cost of
bonus.
living bonus.